Welcome to Barrington Academy, where we strive to educate and entertain. Today, we are going to be looking at Caribbean History Paper 1, 2017. June 2017, we'll be providing the answer and explanations where possible. So, I understand the challenges that you students have been facing due to these uncertain times, the difficulties, especially with online learning. So I've decided that it's a part of my civic duty to help assist the students to prepare for the CXC examination. So remember to like, share, and comment so that other students can benefit from this endeavor and they'll be able to prepare for their exams and get the best result they possibly can get. So let's begin. Question number 1. Which of the following statements is true of both Jamaica and Cuba at the time of Columbus' arrival in the Caribbean? A, they were not inhabited, and you know off the bat that is wrong. B, they were inhabited by Taínos, they were inhabited by Maya, they were inhabited by Kalinagos. So the answer to that one is they were inhabited by Taínos. Number 2, which of the following was not an activity in which the Maya engaged? Growing corn, making quipos, building temples, playing ball games. Now, the question said, which of the following was not an activity in which the Maya engaged? And the answer to that is B, because they grew corn, they built temples to worship, and they played ball games that they invented themselves. Number 3, which of the following statements are true of the Kalinago? 1, they adopt Taíno customs. They were skilled sailors and fishermen. They fiercely resisted the Spanish invaders. The answer to that is 1, 2, and 3, because they adopted many Taíno customs. They were skilled sailors and fishermen, and they fiercely resisted the Spanish invaders. Number 4, item 4 refers to the following map showing part of the Caribbean and South America. Now, the question asks, the area where the Kalinagos lived before they migrated to the Caribbean islands is labeled, and is it labeled 1, 2, 3, or 4? The correct answer to that question is C, 3. So before they came to the Caribbean, they were living in this particular area. Question number 5. Which of the following best explain why Kalinago women spoke the Taíno language? Is it A, they worked in the fields with the Taíno women? B, Kalinago women often traded with the Taíno women? C, Taíno women were often captured by the Kalinago warriors? Or D, Kalinago girls were taught the language of the Taíno by their elders? Now, place in the comment section which one you believe to be the correct answer to this one. The correct answer is actually C. So let's see how many of you got this one correct when I told you to place in the comment section what you believe to be the correct answer. Number 6, which 2 European countries were arch rival in the setting up of colonies in the America in the early 16th century? Is it A, Portugal and Spain, B, England, C, France and Portugal, D, England and France? The correct answer to this question is the countries on the countries on the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal and Spain. Number 7, Which is the correct order from most to least powerful of the European social group in the 1400s? Is it merchant, priest, peasant, and kings? Kings, peasant, king, priest, peasant, and merchants? Priest, kings, merchant, and peasant? Kings, priests, merchants, and peasant. The correct answer is D, from most respectable, most powerful to least powerful, where the kings, they rule over all the lands. The priests, the religious priests, were highly respected. And of course, in modern society, merchants are respected more than peasants. So it's then merchant and peasant, as that was a similar case during ancient society. Number 8, the main reason why the English attempted to break the Spanish monopoly in the New World was to A, obtain new trade routes to the east, B, obtain a share of the wealth of the New World, C, supply captive Africans to the Spanish colonies, or D, gain a base from which to attack the native people. The answer to this one is obtain a share of the wealth in the New World. Number 9, item 9 refers to the following statement. The authorities began the practice of allowing the Spaniards to extract labor and collect tribute from the Indian. In return, the Spaniards were to see that the Indians were protected and converted to Christianity. Now the question asks, the practice referred to in the statement was known as, and the answer to that is D, Encomienda. Spanish is a bit rusty. The answer is D. Number 10, the Dutch may be called the foster fathers of French and British settlers in the Caribbean in the 1600s, mainly because of their A, skills in tobacco growing which they shared with the settlers, B, naval strength which protected the settlers from pirate attack, C, military which conquered the indigenous people and made settlement safe, or D, traders who kept the settlers supplied with foodstuff and other essential goods. The answer to this one is D. They were called the foster fathers of French and British settlers in the Caribbean in the 1600s, mainly because they were traders who kept the settlers supplied with foodstuff and other essential goods. Number 11. Which of the following resulted from the changeover from tobacco to sugarcane cultivation in the Caribbean? Is it 1, the mulatto population declined, 2, the black population increased, 3, the number of landowners declined? So is the answer 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, or is the answer all of the above? The correct answer is C, 2 and 3 only. The black population increased, the number of landowners declined. Number 12. Which of the following ports were British slave ships most likely to visit during the 1700s? Is it Havana, Kingston, Rio de Janeiro, or Port-au-Prince? The correct answer to this is B, Kingston. They were most likely to visit Kingston during the 1700s. Number 13, the term barracoon is best associated with the cultivation of captive persons in Africa, B, the trade of enslaved persons in the Caribbean, C, the housing of captive persons on the African coast, or D, punishment of enslaved persons in the Caribbean. What is the answer? The answer to this is C, housing of captive persons on the African coast. Number 14, it is true to say that the enslaved Africans in the British Caribbean were A, encouraged by their owner to educate themselves, allowed to raise a family without their owner's permission, C, allowed to own small properties without their owner's permission, or D, encouraged by the owner to farm on small provision grounds? The answer to this is D. They were encouraged by their owners to farm on small provision grounds. 15. The large importation of enslaved Africans into the Caribbean during the 1600s and 1700s was mainly to A. The evidence owned by estate owners, improved technology being used on the estate, C. The expansion and profitability of the sugarcane industry, or D. The promotion of the slave trade by the Royal African Company. Why was the reason there was a large enslavement of Africans in the Caribbean during the 1600s and 1700s, and the main reason was the expansion and the profitability of the sugarcane industry, which, when the sugarcane industry no longer became profitable, it saw where Caribbean moved towards an era where slavery was on the verge of being abolished. Number 16, an enslaved African in the British Caribbean who stole from the plantation owner was least likely to be A. Whipped, B. Mutilated, C. Charged a fine, D. Placed in the stockade. And the question is, they were least likely. What was the least likely punishment? And the least likely punishment for someone who stole from the plantation was to be charged a fine. They were whipped, they were mutilated, and they were placed in stockade. Number 17. Which of the following was not a similarity between the Maroons of Jamaica and those of Suriname? Was it A, they both signed peace treaties with the British, B, they both planted, hunted, and fished for a living, C, they both waged guerrilla warfare on the white plantation, or D, they were runaway slaves who escaped into the forest interior? Which of the following was not a similarity between the Maroons in Jamaica and the Maroons in Suriname? And the answer to that is they both signed peace treaty with the British. Student of French, forgive me, Toussaint Louverture contributed to the success of the Haitian Revolution mainly by A, setting up a system of fortification, B, developing a revolutionary ideology, C, organizing the enslaved into a formidable fighting force, or D, dividing the country between the blacks and the mulattoes. The answer to that is C, organizing the enslaved into a formidable fighting force. Long live Toussaint. Number 19. In 1763, a major uprising of enslaved Africans took place in the Dutch colony of, is it A, Berbice, B, Curacao, C, Suriname, or D? The answer to this one is A, Berbice. Number 20, which of the following were consequences of the Haitian Revolution? 1, all the mulattoes left the land. 2, all enslaved Africans were freed. 3, the colony gained political independence. Was it 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, or was it all of the above? The correct answer to this is 2 and 3. All the enslaved Africans were free and the colony gained political independence. We have come to the end of part 1 of our walkthrough of the 2017 June paper 1 examination. Please remember to click on the next video, part 2 of the 2017 Caribbean History CXC examination walkthrough, paper 1.